Good morning, everybody online. We will be starting soon. Before we do, I have a phone number starting with area code 480. Can you please identify yourself?
It could be Marshall.
All right, thank you, Marshall.
Hello, this is John Kraft with Pinal County. I just wanted to let you know I'm here.
Great, thank you, John. We'll be taking attendance soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. This is Ward with Avondale. Is anybody on the meeting today?
Morning, Ward. This is Eric. We will be starting soon. Our chair is delayed in traffic right now, but
Gotcha. I didn't have any visuals or only saw one person's name, so I wasn't sure what may have happened.
do you see the PowerPoint of the MAG ITS committee?
I do. I did have that screen, but basically nothing else.
Sure.
and no sound whatsoever.
Okay.
So just wasn't sure.
All right. We'll be starting soon. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Okay. Good morning, members of the MAG ITS committee. We already have quorum, so just going to call this meeting to order. Do I still need people? Just go ahead. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to go through. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking so that those on the phone can hear you. For those participating via Zoom, please remember to unmute your device before speaking and mute when you are not speaking to create a positive experience for all attendees. Phone participants should use *6 to unmute and mute and *9 to raise their hand. The MAG public comment process provides opportunities for members of the public to comment on items scheduled on today's agenda.
I don't know if this meeting has started yet. This is Ross Renner, City of Maricopa, but I can't get any audio.
Uh-oh.
Can anybody else hear
Test.
us?
Raj, can you hear me?
This is Simon. I can hear you.
Yeah, this is Dana. I can hear you.
This is
Ward,
David. I
I
can
can.
as well.
I can hear. This is John Kraft.
Raj, maybe log in again.
Going.
3 opportunities are provided for public comment, including call to the audience, the consent agenda, and action items to be heard. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website prior to the meeting, as long as the comments are received at least 1 hour prior to the posted start time for the meeting. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, I'm not seeing anybody. Please fill out a request to speak card. Please be sure to indicate the item for which you want to speak and give it to a designated MAG staff member. If you parked in the garage, remember to validate your ticket. Parking validations are available on the information table in the hallway. For those who purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Please note that hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. Can I skip the roll call then? Or do it? Okay. We will now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members. And Eric, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I call your name, please indicate that you are present for the record. We'll start with Bruce Dressel in for Susan Anderson.
Present.
Hugh Bial.
Present.
Dana Alvidres in for Alyssa Dahl.
Present.
Albert Garcia.
Present.
Kathy Hollow. Sergeant Michael Hunt.
Present.
Hong Ho.
Present.
Kieran Jordan.
Present.
Simon Ramos in for Bruce Littleton.
Present.
David Lucas,
Present.
Steve McKenzie, Chair.
Present.
Ross Renner in for Eduardo Rodales. He's indicated online, but I'm not sure if he can hear us. Marshall Regal,
Here.
Ward Stanford,
Present.
John Kraft in for Christopher Wanamaker,
Present.
John Willett,
Present.
Marty Zeke, he's indicated online. Is there anyone else that I have missed? All right, Mr. Chair, we have quorum.
Thank you, Eric. I would like to introduce Sergeant Michael Hunt with DPS, the new ITS committee member.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. Our next item is the call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Members of the public who are attending in person may deliver their comments from the lectern at the front of the room. You have up to 3 minutes to complete your comments. A timer is provided to assist you. When the light on the timer changes from green to yellow, you have 1 minute remaining. If the light turns red, a buzzer will sound, meaning your allotted time has expired. I have received, 0 requests to speak cards for this agenda item. Staff, do we have any written comments from this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee. We received no comments on this item or any other item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Omar. Our next item is the approval of the minutes of the meeting held on September 7th of 2022. Please take a few moments to review the minutes if you have not already. Okay. Do any committee members have any revisions at this time? Okay. Could I have a motion to recommend approval of the meeting minutes?
Mr. Chair, we do have a hand raised from David Lucas, Maricopa County.
Okay. David?
Yes, I would like to move to accept the meeting minutes as presented.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion for approval by David. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from Kathy Holloway. So Eric, can you go ahead and start the roll call?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I call your name, please indicate how you vote. We'll start with Bruce Dressel in for Susan Anderson.
I vote to approve.
Hugh Bigal.
Yay.
Dana Alvidrez in for Liz Dahl.
Yay.
Albert Garcia.
Yay.
Kathy Hollow.
Yay.
Sergeant Michael Hunt.
Yay.
Hong Ho.
Yay.
Kieran Jordan.
Yay.
Simon Ramos in for Bruce Littleton.
Yay.
David Lucas first.
Yay.
Ross in for Eduardo Rodales. Marshall Regal.
Yay.
Ward Stanford.
Yay.
John Kraft in for Christopher Wanamaker.
Yay.
John Willett.
Yay.
Marty Zeke. Okay, and Chair, how do you vote?
Yay.
Is there anyone that I've missed? All right, Mr. Chair, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. With that, we will move on to item number 4. Our next item is the program manager's report. The Meg Tismo program manager, Jeff Jank, will provide a report to the ITS committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, member of the ITS committee. The first item on my report, as usual, is the federal updates. I would like to invite Mr. Kieran Jordan, who is with the local FHWA division, to provide such update.
Thank you, Jeff. I've sent out an email before, but just as a reminder, the Biden-Harris administration announced a $160 million grant for smart transportation technology, and the NOFO can be found at grants.gov. The Biden-Harris administration is also offering the grant as a smart grant of $100 million annually for the next 5 years to projects that use data and technology to solve real-world challenges today. And applications for it are due by Friday, November 18th, 2022. There's also an ATTAIN grant, or Advanced Transportation Technologies and Innovation webinar on October 12th that will explain eligibility requirements and provide a time to get your questions answered about funding. The amount to be granted is $60 million for each of the 5 years, and applications for that are also due Friday, November 18th, 2022. And there's a webinar registration link here in the PowerPoint. The ITS Data Hub has partnered with FHWA's Next Generation Simulation, or NGSIM program, to make detailed vehicle trajectory data, as well as supporting data files and both raw and processed files available. The data is taken from southbound US 101 and eastbound I-80. The data shared include detector data and tube data that provide volume and occupancy values at 30-second, 5-minute, and 15-minute intervals, photographs of the study area, CAD drawings of the study area, signal or ramp meter timings, GIS data, aggregate vehicle trajectory results that provide macroscopic level traffic parameters, weather data, and signage photographs. Missouri DOT had a study where they studied the effectiveness of rumble strips in work zones. It's a bit of a long read, but overall they found that it does curb and promote safety in work zones. And there's a link to that as well. Just as a reminder, Crash Responder Safety Week is from November 14th to November 18th. And the link below to their site has summarized a series of webinars leading up to the week and the actions taken to improve safety. And lastly, there is a National Work Zone Management Conference being held on October 12th and October 13th, and it's a fully virtual workshop.
Great, thanks, Howard. Thank Kieran. I'm have to refrain myself from calling you the new Tony, but there's a lot of good information that you provided. I think most notable is the new federal grant opportunity, the SMART and the ATTAIN fund for those agencies that's interested. I mean, the October 12th webinar going to provide a lot of good information. The next item is an update on the TSOP project for the fiscal year 2023. Again, for Sergeant Hunt, TSOP project is a service to the regions to retime those traffic signal corridors. And so there have been, for 2023, there has been 2 call for projects. The first wave of call for project, 12 projects were proposed and approved. And then now we're developing the task order that will be using the on-call consultant to do those jobs. And the expected performance period is between October and the next June 31st, the fiscal year ending. There's a second wave of call for project going on right now, and actually the subject of today's committee meeting that we will be hearing those presentation on those projects as part of the call for project process. And there are 7 projects now in line. So next slide, please. The next item is, again, a reminder of this TIP call for project coming up in November, the December 1st to be scheduled release. And again, we have about $9.4 million left over from the previous call for project and other SM&O plan line items. So this call for project is a competitive, available to all member agencies. The scheduled release is December 1st. For that, we are scheduling a working group meeting. And when we call it working group, that means that's the kind of meeting that you could add all kind of crazy questions and answer. So that working group meeting is scheduled for October 24th. In that meeting, for those of you who have not been through the previous call for project, you're going to get a very nice overview of this call for project. Some of the specific requirements, the application, we're going to show you a very near final version of the application form, so you know all the data that you need to prepare for. We're also going to show you the evaluations that will take place. Basically, some of the evaluation score are going to be coming from the ITS committee members. There are air quality score that's based on the MAC air quality groups analysis. So it's a very informative meeting if you are happen to be the first timer or that you need some refresh of your memory. Next slide, please. This again, I'm just kind of want to flash you this overall schedule for the cover project. December 1st being the release date. You have quite a few weeks to prepare for the applications. January 13th is when the applications are due. And then there'll be a lot of evaluation activity, some of them involving ITS committee member, February 1st. That is an important ITS committee meeting that we will be doing application presentations. And then by March 1st, that ITS committee meeting, we will be reviewing the final recommendation based on the evaluations. Then you could see that it takes more than a month to escalate through all the committees for ultimate approval. The final one being the regional council. Once it's got approved, that's money in the bank. Okay. Next item, please. Well, the annual ITS conference, ITS Arizona conference is around the corner. It's actually October 19 and 20. So we're offering ITS Arizona another update. I'd like to invite the president of the ITS Arizona, who is also the committee member of the ITS committee, David Lucas, to provide this update. David?
Thank you, Jeff. Mr. Chair, members of the ITS committee. As Jeff mentioned, the conference is only 2 weeks away. So just wanted to give everybody a quick update and a reminder. If you have not yet attended, the theme of this year's conference is ITS Intelligent Transportation Solutions, with a focus on using ITS to develop solutions for various issues. The location is our normal one, the Mesa Convention Center, except this year it's going to be in buildings B and C because we have expanded our event space. And there's another slide that'll expand on that point. Day one is going to be Wednesday, October 19th, from about 11:30 to 6. And we're going to have our usual format with a half-day workshop focused on ITS solutions beyond infrastructure. And that will be followed by our reception in the expanded exhibitor hall. On day 2, October 20th, we'll be starting at 7:30 with breakfast. And then there will be a keynote by Jennifer Toth, who's the director and county engineer for Maricopa County, and our usual technical sessions, followed by an award ceremony. We had record attendance last year, and we're exceeding that again this year. We already have over 425 attendees registered and 55 exhibitors. So we're definitely looking forward to record attendance. We have several new vendors who have not participated before. So there will be new opportunities for you to interact with additional sponsors and vendors that perhaps you haven't encountered at previous events. Next slide, please. So just wanted to give a quick update for those who have attended before. Typically, we're in the space that's indicated on the right, where you have the exhibitor hall, the registration desk, and the technical session rooms. To address some issues that we've had in the past regarding noise, things like that, we've set aside the main hall exclusively for the use of our exhibitors. And that's allowed us to space out the sponsor booths and things like that a little bit more to give a little bit more room for interaction and mingling around. So I think it's going to provide an improved experience. The lunch and opening session, things like that, will be held in the Palo Verde Ballroom, which is in Building B on the left. And you're going to see some expanded opportunities as well regarding the session space, where we're going to be utilizing a new room, the conference theater, as well as the Chrismon, Serene, Pomeroy, and Robeson rooms in an expanded format where those are joined together to accommodate more space during our technical sessions. So if you have not yet registered, registration is still open. You can also do walk-in registration. And thank you for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Back to you, Jeff.
Thank you, David, for your leadership. We look forward to a great annual conference. So next item, please. The next item is an interim update of the fiber upgrade task force. First, some background that this region is blessed to have this dedicated fiber backbone called Regional Community Network, aka RCN, that is used solely for transportation and public safety applications. For transportation, that we were able to share a lot of data between the agencies, such as CCTV imagery and any other data. And I know the Maricopa County, the Aztec, a lot of those ITS data hubs, we're leveraging this fiber for data communications. For public safety, many of the fire departments are utilizing the RCN for their own communication within the jurisdiction, as well as the data networking between the two 911 call centers in this region. So out of the RCN, the ITS committee runs this RCN working group that we constantly looking at how to maintain and expand the RCN in this region. And this fiber upgrade task force funded by this funding identified by the SMNO plan is used to provide some timely maintenance for the RCN needs in this region. So as the committee member remembered, last November, the ITS committee approved this project for this ongoing year, that is to lay down the stretch of fiber in the town of Queen Creek, and that will connect Queen Creek to the RCN through Mesa. So this is a really significant project, even though it's somewhat small in scale, but they're gonna connect the Queen Creek to the RCN. And the report to you is that we'll be completing the work with another contractor. Clearly, there are a lot of demand for these contractors these days on the similar work But other things to report on this RCN is while we are looking at this approved work, the status of this approved work, that we want to let you know that in the next few months, we will be calling up another fiber upgrade task force meeting, start looking ahead for the future project idea. With that, I conclude my program manager's report. I would like to turn it back to, or I would like to pause for any questions that you might have. Hearing none, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. With that, we'll move on to item number 5. On April 13th, 22, a call for projects was announced to identify new TSOP projects for FY 2023. A total of $500,000 is available to be programmed for new projects. A total of 12 project applications with a budget of $373,000 were received, reviewed, and recommended for approval by the ITS committee. An additional call for projects was announced on August 25th of 22 to use the remaining funds. In this committee meeting, the responsible agencies will provide a presentation on each project application. This item is for information, discussion, and possible action to recommend approval of the FY 2023 TSOP list of additional projects. I'd like to invite Eric Nava to present this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the ITS committee. So as Chair McKenzie mentioned, this is the subject is about the additional list of projects that were received for the remaining funds. The call for projects did go out August 25th of this year, 2022, and the applications deadline was September 21st. We did receive a total of 7 applications. The remaining funds that were available for this current cycle of projects, or this current year of projects, was $126,945. So this map here on this slide indicates the proposed locations of the projects. There was 7 projects in total. 1 was from City of Avondale, 4 from City of Phoenix, 1 from City of Maricopa, and 1 from the City of Buckeye. Now this table is a little small, but essentially what this is indicating is the list of these projects, or the project application and their locations and the project types. Of the 7 projects, there's 3 that are signal retiming projects and 4 from the City of Phoenix that are turning movement counts or data collection type projects. All these projects will be executed if approved in the spring of 2023. So starting as early as January, we can execute the task orders for these projects, and they will be completed before the June 30th fiscal year deadline. Now, as an asterisk to the costs, one thing that we did recommend from the previous call for projects from the ITS committee was to begin to include tube counts, as well as having one intersection of the project to include a 4-hour count per period. And so the costs were adjusted from the applications themselves to account for those costs. Now, with the additional list of projects, the 7 projects, it did exceed our overall 2023 allocation of budget of the total of $500,000. We did exceed that by $9,635. But there's more to come on that, which is this next slide. And that indicates because of the additional cost, we did go through the couch cushions, and we're looking to see that there were some additional program fund savings from previous cycles of projects. So essentially we are able to cover that additional $9,000 pending that the approval of the projects from the ITS committee today on this final list of 7 projects. So what we would like to do next is to go through the list of those 7 projects. We've asked the representative from each agency project to just give a very brief overview of what their project is intending to do. Again, 7 applications. It'll be 4 agencies. So we'll have basically 4 presentations, up to 5 minutes. And the intention of this is to look at the projects and allow the committee members to review and provide any recommendations or revisions to the projects, or have any questions for the applicants on their project itself. So we do have the presentations loaded on this PowerPoint. So we'll go ahead and start with our first project, if there are any questions before we start that. Seeing none, so we'll go ahead and move on to the first project. The first project will be from the city of Avondale on a project along Dysart Road. So I'd like to invite Ward Stanford from City of Avondale to give us a brief overview on this project, and just let me know when to move to the next slide.
Good morning, board and committee members. We are requesting to retime 8 intersections on Dysart Road in the area of the higher retail and commercial part of Dysart Road in our city. We had done a timing project on this about 2 years ago, and it was during the COVID event, and so we did counts, but then had to do some factoring of those, trying to estimate what it might be like outside of COVID. And that wasn't too bad, but the pedestrian part of it was the bigger failure, you might say, or our biggest problem now. We have either underestimated the PEDs in the past as far as the counts being increased, or we've just had more PEDs. We have had some schools open up and schools that were in process grow. So we know we're getting more walking activity from pedestrians, but it has rendered a couple of the intersections somewhat completely out of coordination during the peak hours. McDowell and Dysart being one of them, Rancho Santa Fe, immediately south of McDowell is another, as well as the 2 Coldwater Springs and Van Buren. All are experiencing coordination failures during the peak hours, and several at a time, because of the amount of pedestrians that are actually actuating the signal now versus what we estimated in the past. We chose in the past not to accommodate them in the timings, as the numbers didn't indicate much activity. So we are needing to go back in there and retime those, create longer cycle lengths, and include pedestrians in that timing effort. And that is the gist of our request. Next slide. Well, I should say we are asking for the 4 times of the day, AM, midday, PM, and weekend, for 8 intersections, and at a total cost of $42,700. Next slide, please.
All right, we're on the project description slide, which.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the PowerPoint you sent me. My apologies. And I guess I basically went through a good bit of this as the purpose of our request for retiming it. It is a 4-mile section of Dysart, 6-lane section. It is fully communicated. It has a mix of Econolite, Cobalt, and ASC3 controllers. We are including the I-10 interchange in this retiming effort, which we had included in the previous project. And we do have an existing synchro network for it. And this is a map showing that stretch of Dysart Road that we would like to do the retiming work on. Our previous project went all the way to Indian School. We had a cycle length break at Alameda. It's more residential to the north side. And then from Alameda south to Van Buren, we are in the more retail and commercial area. Good bit higher density and congestion. And that's the section that we want to retime. The north side is still functioning quite well. With that, any questions? That would end my presentation.
Seeing no questions on this go round. All right. Thank you, Ward.
Thank you, committee, for the consideration.
We'll move on to the next project, which is from City of Phoenix on their data collection for tune and movement counts along 4 corridors. And I'd like to invite Simon Ramos from City of Phoenix to give on this information.
Thank you, Eric. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, thank you for having us to provide the overview of the 4 corridors. So just in case I forget any intricate details of each one, we will do or perform a synchro analysis and develop a synchro model for all 4 corridors. We'll also, for our own purposes, develop transync models as well, and then provide before and after results using the INREX dashboard, the PDA suite analytics. So the first corridor I'll go over is the baseline road from 7th Avenue to 59th Avenue, which some of you may recall, this would probably be a part 2 for the baseline road optimization. Back in 2018, we did do Central Avenue to 48th Street. So again, just kind of looking at the map, we did not partner with ADOT, but Bruce, I see you sitting there in the room. We will definitely reach out to you and provide you, our timings and see what we can do with the 202. So overall, 13 intersections total, 4 time of day plans, and estimated cost at $13,500. Next slide, please. The next one, kind of a lessons learned and a bit of a success on our light rail TSOT project we had at the last go around on 19th Avenue. We're submitting for another light rail retiming optimization, but this time we'll be doing this in-house. We apologize we don't have a VISM license, but we're going to also use Synchro and Transync to do the analysis. So a total number of 16 intersections, and this is the stretch on Central Avenue from Camelback Road to McDowell, all 4 time of day plans, and then roughly about $16,000 for the total cost. Next slide, please. Southern Avenue from 7th Avenue to 51st Avenue, a total of 9 signals. This area here, we're actually doing advanced detection projects, either signal rebuilds or complete signal rebuilds or adding vehicle detection. And of course, this stretch here has not been timed in recent years. Total of 9 signals, 4 time of day plans, and total cost about 10K. 10,000, sorry. Next slide, please. From my understanding, this stretch of Van Buren Street from 7th Street to 48th Street has never been retimed or timed or optimized or anything. So this area is developing a little more than in recent years. A total of 12 intersections, 4 time of day plans are being requested for turning movement accounts, and a total cost of $12,500. So with that, I'll leave it open for the table for any comments, discussions, or questions.
Are there any questions? Thank you.
There's one intersection that gets counted? Or all the intersections on the thing will get counted 4 times a day? What is, I'm not sure what the ask is for.
So they are requesting turning movement count data collection for 4 periods.
Oh, okay. That note, somebody had a note up there. It looked, the table was different.
Oh, okay.
Different. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, everyone.
Move on to the next project, and this will be coming from the city of Maricopa. And I believe Ross Renner, you're able to hear us now?
Yeah, I believe so. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I want to thank the chair and the members of the ITS committee, Ross Renner, City of Maricopa. We have a signal retiming project that we're requesting on Porter Road. It's about a 2.5 mile stretch. There's 6 signals along the corridor. And also we have about approximately 7 schools along the corridor. So we're getting some fairly significant AM, midday, and PM peaks traffic along the corridor. The signals haven't been retimed since 2011, and we're getting some significant interest from our city council and our upper management about getting signals retimed throughout the city. So that would be our request for that 2.5 mile stretch to look at those 6 traffic signals and try to get some new signal timing. Yeah, and then it kind of talks about traffic in the area. You know, we've had some significant increases in traffic and development within Maricopa in the last several years, and we're seeing this throughout the city. So this just kind of supports our need to retime those signals. Is there another slide?
Just the map.
Yeah, and that's the corridor again. It's Porter Road from Smith Inc. on the north, Maricopa Cascade Highway on the south, and it's about a 2.5 mile corridor. So with that, is there any questions?
No questions.
I have a quick questions that
Sure.
one of the requirements for doing the signal coordination is to have communication to the intersection so that this common time reference can be maintained and whatever you put in won't drift, right? I don't know if you have the communication here or are you going by, oh, you do. Thank you. Apologize. You did say that. Excellent. And may I know, I mean, out of curiosity, I mean, what kind of wireless communication that you have there?
You know, I'd sure like to give you that information. I'm filling in for Eduardo. He had to be out, so I'm not familiar with all the technical details on these signals. So, but we could sure follow up with you on that information.
Wonderful. I'm just want to say, I mean, I'm coming from a nice way that City of Maricopa has grown so tremendously, and there are a lot of work being done, and that includes one of our emerging technology pilot on the 347, SR 347, and Bruce, the man himself, is here. Bruce was the ADOT manager for that stretch of roadway, and also I've learned the news of City of Maricopa will be taking over as SR 347. So congratulations on a lot of progress the city has made.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I mean, most of us are. There's a few people that are going to get loaded up with some new tasks. But the 347, segment of 347, and a portion of State Route 238, again, there's a lot of new development that's ongoing and coming along those corridors, and it'll be nice just to be able to coordinate that directly with the developers. So we appreciate that.
Ross, this is John Kraft with Pinal County. I've got a question on how close that signal is from Great Clips to Maricopa CG. Is that less than a quarter mile, you know?
You know, by looking at the map, it appears to be less than a quarter mile. You know, from Smith Inc. south to Honeycutt, that first mile, second mile. So it sure looks like it's less than a quarter mile. I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, it looks like that might mess up your timing a little bit.
Yeah, it sure could.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, John.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Ross.
You bet.
And we'll go over our last application from City of Buckeye, and I'd like to ask John Willett to speak on this project.
Good morning, everybody. It's John Willett from the City of Buckeye. We submitted this rather large signal timing project, 4 intersections, AM, PM only. Cost, well, we had 13,008. I think Eric's upped it a little bit. for inflation. Next slide, please. Basically, this is in our downtown area. I'll show it on the map next slide, but it's about a half mile long. As far as I've been here for 4.5 years, there's been no signal timing progressions on this corridor at all. We currently do not have wireless communication, but we will install some GPS clocks to keep the timing from floating. As Jeff mentioned earlier, we have a kind of like Cobalt controllers, and there is no synchro network. One thing I do want to mention, though, is one of the ITS projects that we receive funding on will be putting ITS communication cable up and down this corridor eventually. Next slide, please. As this shows, this is our downtown area. Monroe Avenue, if you've never been to Buckeye, is actually the old or current MC85 alignment. City has taken over that road, again, way before I came here. On the far right side by 6th and 7th Street, you see Buckeye Elementary School. So we do have school crossings there in the morning. And then the far left side or the west end is First Street, also known as Miller Road, which is a direct connection up north to I-10. That's the way a lot of employees come to downtown to work, me included. If you keep going on Monroe to the west, you end up at SR 85 and the signalized intersection out there. So again, thank you for allowing me to present this to everybody. That's it. If I have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions for John? Okay, great. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
So again, this is just one, the same list of projects that I previously had shown. All the information regarding the 7 project applications and their updated costs. So I'd like to conclude this as indicated on the slide for potential committee action.
Eric, this is Ward with Avondale. I'd like to ask an item before you conclude.
Okay.
And certainly I understand that this is inappropriate or unfair, but I, in my presentation, failed to add the problem that we have created on Dysart and wondered if I could add that as a late piece of my presentation.
Ward, you certainly can, but I do believe that we actually have some extra funding available, so I'm not sure if you want to share. That's fine.
If the other applicants don't object, that would be fine. And I give a moment to see if anybody has any objection.
Eric, how big is your couch?
Excuse me?
How big is your account?
Oh, I mean, we still have a few $10,000 or so remaining.
Ward, are you going to be asking for any additional funds?
No, just describing the problem that the pedestrian has.
Okay. If it's okay with you, we're going to just go ahead and move on to the vote because I think there's ample funds to fund everything. So if that's okay with you, we'll just move on.
No, that's perfectly fine. Thank you.
Okay. So could I have a motion to recommend approval of the TSOP project as described?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the proposed list.
Thank you, Albert. Do we have a second?
We do have.
John Kraft, second.
Okay, John, thank you. So I'm going to go back to you, Eric, and start roll call.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. When I call your name, please indicate how you vote. We'll start with Bruce Dressel in for Susan Anderson.
Yay.
Hugh Bigal.
Yay.
Danelle Vidres in for Alyssa Dahl.
Yay.
Albert Garcia.
Yay.
Kathy Hollow.
Yay.
Sergeant Michael Hunt.
Yay.
Hong Ho,
Yay.
Kieran Jordan.
I'm a non-voting member. Right?
Simon Ramos in for Bruce Littleton.
Yay.
David Lucas.
Yay.
Ross Renner in for Eduardo Rodales.
Yay.
Marshall Regal.
Yay.
Ward Stanford.
Yay.
John Kraft in for Christopher Wanamaker.
Yay.
John Willett
Yay.
and Marty Zeke.
Yay.
And Mr. Chair, how do you vote?
Yay.
All right, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 6. We're going to be discussing the TSOP program again. Since the program began in 2004, the TSOP has completed numerous projects that involved well over 1,000 signalized intersections in the region. The program has made improvements over the years and continues to evolve to best serve the region's member agencies. MAG staff will give a presentation summarizing the achievements to date and also previous updates or a preview of updates to the TSOP program. I'd like to invite Jeff Jank to provide an overview of this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Eric for his leadership with the TSOP program. This is a program of significance that intends to move the needles that actually influence and improve the operations in the field. So, like Mr. Chair said, that this program has been going on for decades, and this is an opportunity for us to recap of what we have been through and what we have learned to date, and then looking forward. And I know Eric will be shedding light on the future directions for the TSOP. And a couple of things we learned has been the need has changed. Years ago, we all just retimed the stretch of the roadway in favor of coordinations. But then we also learned that, you know, the cities are all at the different staffing level. Some cities were able to do more now in-house, and therefore they will just request for the data and they will do the work themselves. And then we also learned that there are other type of traffic operation than coordinations, such as dynamic max green, that you do not need those strict coordination in favor of the flow, of directional flow. So we've learned so much in the last few years, and the MAC TESMO group has been working hard. We're thinking of and improving what we're doing, and we'll try to get smart in terms of methodology and how we conduct the TSOP. With that, I would like to turn it over to Eric, and thanks again for his leadership. There's a lot of work.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the ITS committee meeting. Some of this information, large portion of it, will actually be a bit of a repeat from a previous TSOP working group, but we'd like to come and share the same information and some of the results that concluded from a working group and future direction that we would like to share for the program. So we did meet as a working group back on August 24th of this year. And really the primary pieces that we wanted to go over is giving an overview of what the program has been since its inception, and as Jeff described, is really a service to our member agencies for the region in terms of signal timing. And as the program continues to evolve along with agencies, there's a lot of new innovative work based on new technologies, so much data being out there and being able to make better decisions that local agencies are capable of doing now that they haven't been in, a decade or so. And that curve of technology seems to continue to increase significantly. So we see that our program capable of pivoting and making those adjustments for the sake of trying to reduce congestion on the arterials in coordination between agencies and freeways and arterials and such. So the three things that we'd like to go over today, again, is the program overview and program feedback as well, at least from the last 3 years that we've been doing a little bit more comprehensive data collection. And then what are some of the next steps that we're looking into for the program. So in terms of program overview, here are some of the goals. We'll be discussing about the goals, past project performance, as well as some training opportunities that we've had and will continue to have. So as the slide indicates, these are the three main tenets or the three main things that we're always trying to push for in terms of the program. Is it's technical assistance to our member agencies in providing an additional service to them, as from agencies that are managing hundreds, if not 1,000 or more signals, to the agencies that maybe have a handful of signals but are still trying to, as our region continues to grow, we would like to provide that technical assistance if needed, and as well as help overall in the region in terms of signal coordination, which reduces on congestion, improves on air quality, and reduction in crashes as much as possible through that coordination of signals. And then review of operations through various tools, being simulation, analysis, data collection, data analysis. We want to be that data hub for the region. So this is actually a quick preview of the already approved projects. In fact, just on September 19th, a few weeks ago, the first list of projects, the 12 applications that were received. This map indicates the locations and the project types of those projects that were already approved. These are the 12 locations. What we've done is we've consolidated those to 8 projects so that we can, in terms of administrative handling and management, we want to be able to just package some of these a little bit better in terms of our internal management. So it turns out to be 7 retiming projects, 1 turning movement count, which again, if you can do the simple math, that's actually 9 projects, but we're merging one of the 7 Maricopa County projects that is in that 7 retiming projects and combining it with a turning movement count project from the Maricopa County. And then 1 TransSync project. If you recall, that is one of our new endeavors this year with the TSOP program. TransSync, as a short reminder, is a very sophisticated data collection software on iPads, really doing floating car method, but is collecting a lot more data and is actually providing feedback for the member agencies or whoever's running the corridor for diagnostics, for fine tuning of corridors to make sure that it's running as intended, depending on the plan that was developed and indicated with the software, the Synchro software simulation tool. And so TransSync is also capable of helping to fine tune and diagnose pre-existing retimed corridors that were in coordination, but for whatever reason is just not maybe running as smoothly or maybe needs some further adjustments. It saves us a lot of time and a lot of funding as well to do these really short-term projects. And this is our first year endeavor to dive into these. And so we have 2 agencies that each having a project to look at existing corridors, one in city of Tempe and one in town of Gilbert. And so we've combined that as a single project to be done by a single consultant, as well as with the TransSync itself. This is our first year that we're going to be requiring TransSync to be used in all projects. So as we've grown and learned about the TSOP as a program, we recognize that the best thing that we can do as a program is to make sure that it's implemented well. We can retime, we can do and give you all the timing sheets and everything like that, but we want to make sure that it works well. So we've really been pushing and emphasizing on the implementation, the fine tuning, make sure that it's running as best as it can before we walk away and say the project is completed. This year's projects of the approved so far includes 126. So that would, and that now will potentially grow as we go through the recommended list of projects from the additional list, which this map does not have, but we will include. But what have we been capable of accomplishing in the last 3 years? This is just showing the projects from 2020 through 2022. We've had a total of 22 projects, over 28 different corridors throughout the region, which encompassed 442 signals that we can consider as optimized through those years. So that has been something that we're actively starting to collect and keep an inventory of this information. And this really helps us to better understand where has a program been, where is it going, where can we find those places that we can continue to improve throughout the region. One thing that we, as Jeff indicated, as our TISMO program, we continue to grow and evolve and learn about the availability of so much data out there and what are the better decisions that we can make with this. This is just kind of a beginning start, a foundation of having that collection of information. Where have projects been in the past? What can we do? And as we continue to monitor some of the efforts from a TISMO program standpoint, to see where we want to continue improving from signal operations, to new technologies, things of that sort. So part of this information is the types of traffic controllers that we've been able to collect. In the project applications, we indicate or we request from the applicant what type of signal controller they have out in the field. Now, for us, it's just to make sure that as we reach out to the consultants, are they capable, of working with these type of controllers? That they each have their nuances in terms of their operations, but it also helps us to better understand what is existing out in the field. Some of this information may be outdated in terms of, maybe there's been controller upgrades, and again, helps us in terms of the inventory of potential efforts in the future of where things are and where things can be going in the future. As well as communication. Jeff previously was asking questions and making sure that, as part of our program, we want to make sure that we have a means of communication between signals, not necessarily to the TMC or the TOC, although that is obviously a best indication of better management of those signals, but at least the communication between the signals themselves, or a means of making sure that there is clock syncing so that you don't have floating intersections or floating controllers that the times just do not meet in coordination. So the means of that communication is vital to these types of projects continuing to make their or to increase in their benefits. You can see a majority of our region, at least from the last 3 years of our projects, are fiber communication, which is a great indication, and wireless, for wherever it makes the most sense. That is still a great means of communication. Leased lines, I know that's from, I believe, the city of Tempe, but it has been updated since that point. And GPS clocks as well is having a means of being able to at least make sure that the clocks are synced to some standard mean. But we've had a lot of involvement from all the member agencies throughout the region, at least for the last 3 years, as we indicate here, showing which agencies have had a project within the last 3 years, how many signals roughly have they been touched or have been touched throughout these 3 projects. So we have a lot of participation included throughout the region, and we highly encourage that continued involvement through this program. So here's some average statistics, and again, I know average has its pros and cons, but I guess still gives us some indication of that we are somehow moving the needle. Over the last 3 years, the estimated average travel time savings throughout all the projects, the 28 projects, I believe, or 22 projects, I believe we said, that was the average cost savings by just being able to retime the projects and saving us approximately over 20,000 vehicle hours over the year. That BC ratio of 11.3 or 11.43 gives us an indication that, the relatively small cost that we do in terms of getting our on-call technical services to perform a project for these agencies has benefited throughout the region, and we continue to encourage that through these list of projects. Now, in terms of training, that's another portion. And again, thank you to Omar for taking the lead on a lot of this training opportunities. The most recent one was back on August 9th, the TransSync training workshop. This was such a huge piece for us, a milestone for us, because the use of TransSync has been a benefit. We initially started using the TransSync software for really just the performance evaluation of existing corridors and retimings, so basically before and after analysis. But the tool is not necessarily built just for that. It is built for so much more. So we wanted to have that training, bringing in our technical on-call consultants to attend, as well as inviting some of the member agencies to attend. So we had 45 attendees over this one full day training provided by Kittleson and Associates. So it was a great benefit. We believe that the consultants are ready to go, and we've already purchased. We have acquired. We have in our hands the 9 iPads, and they're ready to go for projects. So as well as the software licensing. So we're ready to go for this next round of projects. And for one of the existing trainings that we've had year over year has been synchro training. We've had to delay a little bit on our synchro training, but it is coming. So it is coming soon. It's a preview of coming attractions. We are taking a new training approach, and that's really what's been somewhat of a delay, because as well as, it's great to have the software trainer themselves come and train us for those 2.5 to 3 days of full-on training. But we really want to dive in terms of how do our member agencies use this tool on a local platform, be it local scenarios, having local knowledge, having a clear understanding of how we run projects, and how we like to retime our signals. So having a little bit more local knowledge, we're looking to hiring a local consultant that will help us on the training itself. So we can build around the ideal of having local scenarios, local knowledge. We'll introduce a lot of the new pieces that are maybe in the latest Synchro, I believe Synchro 11 we're at right now. But what are the things that make us, that allow the local agencies to work and use the software as best as possible. Now, in terms of program feedback, we asked at the working group for input from the agencies in terms of the technical services that are offered. We wanted to make sure that, as Jeff indicated, things are changing. Agencies are becoming technically more savvy, as even more than they have been in the past, and we, applaud them for always taking on new endeavors and, through emerging technologies or their own endeavors when they get reached out to. We applaud that, and we want to best support that as we can. So we wanted to get the feedback and how can the program help on that or in future cases. So we had, we kind of talked about what are the technical services that we offer, and looking from the feedback from agencies. These are the 3 things that I took away from that working group, and would entertain any additional information from the member agencies that did attend. But really, there has been a lot of advancement on agency management of their own signals, which is great, and that's something that we want to continue to encourage. Recognizing also that TransSync seems to be a good addition to the program, recognizing that, we don't need to always go out and, spend a lot on turning movement counts, on measuring so many things when there's a stability already to existing signal timing. So be it, from clearance interval calculations to cycle length, the use of cycle lengths at the time and time of day plans. We just want to be able to fine tune our existing corridors, or just take a brief look at through and adjust our signal timing coordinations through certain corridors. So we hope that TransSync will be a tool that is of use to the member agencies. And then the use of available data. There's so much data out there, third-party data from INRIX or Wejo, or other data collections, either from from various sources and platforms, be it from internally at member agencies or third-party outside of the agencies and MAG. We want to be able to use that data to make much more and smarter decisions really on where we want to go and how they can manage on the day-to-day. For on-call consultant work, overall, again, good interaction. I think that's something that we've come to learn and what we want to encourage, and please receive, and we plead for that feedback to make sure that we have the right people doing the right type of work as well. And what are some of the things that maybe if there's any feedback on the consultant work that we can encourage and change. That's something that we're always fine-tuning on our task orders, is to make sure that the consultants are doing what is intended. And as I mentioned before, implementation is our biggest push. We're always pushing on implement well. Reports are fine. Crash analysis is good, but really, take that information and let's make it work well. One thing that we did discuss slightly a little bit is the idea that is there something that we can also take off the shoulders of member agencies in terms of the consultants doing additional type of work, such as inputting in the signal timing plans themselves, via remotely or in person at the member agencies, TMC or TOC. And essentially, it's a possibility. We're still going to be discussing that and figuring this out if that is something that we want to include. But again, it's member agencies are in charge of their signals. So it's something that they're still going to be managing. They're still going to oversee and look over the shoulder and make sure that they're doing it right in the first place. So, but member agencies also have a much better, well-rounded understanding of what needs to go in and how best it needs to go in, as opposed to always having a QA/QC, an existing consultant's effort. So, but again, we're looking to see, making sure that consultants are doing the work that they've been intended to have. And then project types offered. So on top of what we already have existing, which is the full-on retiming type of projects with all data collection and analysis. And then we have the turning movement count type of data. We now have introduced the transync type of projects. What are some of the other projects that are offered or that we can offer possibly in the future? We've heard that, synchro networks, we used to offer that where we would either build for a member agency in a particular part of their jurisdiction or the entire jurisdiction, or maybe revisit and fix some of those as again, we've had a lot of growing in our region. So maybe it's something that we need to, an agency needs to revisit and make sure that they're up to date on all their synchros so that they can do the best job that they can for their day-to-day, as well as evaluations and agency needs. So that could be for agency that maybe doesn't have certain policies such as clearance intervals or things that need to be calculated to make sure that they have a good standard. That might be something that we can help evaluate or gather or have a consultant to do for them. So it takes the footwork off the member agency, and now they can just make sure that it is the appropriate need that is being serviced in terms of an evaluation from a consultant. Lastly, one thing that we wanted that we continue to talk about, and what I think we're trying to do with this working group, as well as some of the work that we've shown from the last 3 years of results, is to be able to tell the TSOP story. What is our story? We have not historically done a significantly great job of telling, how well these projects are making a difference. And so we want to take the data that we have existing and point it towards a map that indicates what are the benefits of doing that. And I give a small example from DRCOG or Dr. Cog from Denver Region Council of Governments, and how they have this great interactive map, and you click on a corridor and it gives you a whole pamphlet of the improvements that a particular project did. And that's something that we definitely want to do. And as we build out already the ArcGIS and collecting all this data, we want to push that eventually to an online platform. So that is coming soon. We hope within the next few months or the year or so. And lastly, next steps. Project development process, use of existing data, and then reporting and evaluation are really the next steps that we're continuing to move forward with. At the working group, we introduced the idea of developing a new method, or project development methods, really, a data-driven methodology that really will help us to potentially find, again, taking a snapshot of the region itself over a historical period, and looking at some of the trends. Where are some maybe potential hotspots or corridors that may, at least from a travel time or a speed perspective, we're still looking into data sources and things like that, that will help us indicate, hey, this might be a corridor that we want to give some attention to, again, from this larger overview. And it helps us not necessarily in a ranking process, but looking at, hey, there's some that maybe have some operational indicators that says that maybe we need to give some attention to this, but also, what is feasible for the region. But really, that's not the only place that we want to just stop and just say, here's a map of information. We want to take this to the working group. So if we have a data-driven analysis of the arterials alongside, again, arterials in cooperation with freeway facilities, is let's look at the existing resources. Let's see where the numbers kind of show, the reds versus the greens kind of in terms of the hot spots. But let's take this back to the working group and let's review this results together to make sure that we're addressing all the priorities and the needs. And if there's even a need to begin with, there may be a capacity issue, there may be construction issues, there may be lots of things that maybe the data is not showing. And that's why the data is not the only stop to make a decision on where projects should be. We need that feedback from the agencies. And so we can develop the best projects that we can year over year with the program. And then eventually bring it to the committee for approvals of existing projects. So this is kind of the future that we're pushing towards as we develop it in-house and potentially reaching out for that help through our on-call consultants of technical services. And lastly, that's essentially it. Is where are we at in terms of the next steps? Right now, we're still programming all the FY23 projects. So we've got the fall and some of the spring projects already indicated through those 8 projects. We just approved the recommended list of projects. And again, looking at the key takeaways, there's still a lot that we're learning from that working group. We want to continue with the working group over a set period. It's not a one and done. We definitely want to keep moving on that. But it's always looking to develop on project development methods, looking at the data. There's a lot of existing data out there. So we want to make sure that we can do the best that we can, but also not get paralysis by analysis. We want to make sure we can get some good decisions quickly as best as we can. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, hearing none, well, thank you so much, Eric, for that update. There's been a lot of good things that have come out of this program over the years, and I think all of us are excited where it's going now as well. We'll move on to the next agenda item. Does any member of the ITS committee have topics or issues of interest that you would like to have considered for discussion at a future meeting? And as always, you're welcome to reach out to myself or to Jeff or any members of MAG if you think of something before our next meeting. With that, I'll move on. I'm going to go ahead and switch over. We're going to go ahead and go around, and this is your opportunity to share with us any updates on ITS projects that are going on in your jurisdiction. So having said that, we will go ahead and start with Bruce.
Well, let me mention that Susan may have mentioned this in the past too, that we've got quite a few fiber projects going on, I-17, I-19. We're about to do I-40 from Flagstaff West. We're looking for opportunities to do Grand Avenue and funding that effort. So we may be discussing a few with a few of you to get that rolling. So, but that's it for now.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Bruce. Hugh.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, for the city of Goodyear, we've just entered system or SAT testing, system acceptance testing for our Estrella Public Creek and Traffic Management Center project. And we're thankful to have that up and running, and again in SAT, and we don't expect any issues. And yeah, that's our update from Goodyear. Thank you.
And thank you. Dana, are you on the line still?
Yes, nothing from Chandler at this time.
Okay, thank you. Albert.
So just an update on our grant-funded GPS EVP project. It is currently working its way through ADOT procurement. We've had a snag or two in the solicitation process, but hoping to get that back on track here real shortly and hopefully have a solution in hand here in the next month or two. Additionally to that, outside of project updates, I may have mentioned this before, but we do currently have an assistant director of our transportation division position opened up. So anybody that's interested, take a look at our website, take a look at that job description, and we're looking for some folks to come over. Thank you.
Thanks, Albert. Kathy.
Not too much report right now, but next month, Jeff has asked us to present on our adaptive signal project that we're doing over along the Broadway Curve corridor. We've implemented a short section of it right now, and should have some data to report next month.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Michael, do you have anything for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I have nothing to report for DPS.
Okay, thank you. Hong?
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. Karen, do you have anything?
Nothing to report.
Okay. Simon?
Hello again. We have an advertisement out right now for 2 TE3s, one in design and the other in operations. Actually, the one in operations is my former position. And then expect another posting in the near future, the traffic engineering supervisor in traffic services. And that's all for now.
Okay, thank you. What I'm hearing is there's a lot of positions available and not many people applying because we're still stealing from everybody else. Having said that, David. Did he drop off? Okay. It looks like I'm next on the list. As far as Peoria, we're kind of caught up in procurement with ADOT as well on our adaptive system for Lake Pleasant Parkway. We've got 22 signals for an adaptive system, and it has not been advertised yet. I'm not sure what's actually happening there. But the good news is we had a locally funded $1.4 million redundant loop project that it's not just going through other agencies to get a redundant loop, but we're also doing a bunch of upgrades to the north part of Peoria. We've replaced approximately 45 switches, and we're in the process of new patch panels, new splicing going on. We used to be on 4 fibers for about 45 signals. We're going away from that, and now 6 to 8 signals will be on 2 fibers. So we're excited about that, and it's ongoing. It'll be going on for a while, but really excited about that. With that, I'll move on. Ross?
Sorry, I guess I had to unmute myself. I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Marshall?
No report.
Okay. Ward? Okay. John Kraft sitting in for Christopher.
Hi there. We have nothing to report at this time.
Okay, thank you, John. John,
Good morning. A couple of things real quick. Just a reminder, if you are heading west to go to California, I-10 is still under construction. Starting the 14th, the Watson westbound on and off ramp from I-10 to the Watson interchange will be closed for about 5 weeks. So if you're coming to visit people in Buckeye, just need to take that into account. We have a position for a transportation planner on the street. And I don't know if I've told you, but we did initiate a new signal, Southern and Miller. We're trying to get some other ones operational, but we're running out of material problems. And so we're having to supply stuff to the contractors because apparently they can't order stuff in the appropriate time. They're trying to blame it on materials people, but we know it's not 100% the truth. So that's it from Buckeye. Thank you.
okay, thank you. Marty, do you have any update for us?
Nothing this month from Valley Metro.
Okay, with that, thank you for the updates. And with that, we're going to go ahead and adjourn. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 2nd at 10 a.m. And we will go ahead and adjourn at this point. Thank you all.
Thank you.